We saw a long list of names from Missouri to the Missouri lawmakers to the RNC chairman, obviously the presidential campaign trail as well, asking Todd Akin to resign this week. He remains defiant. What are you hearing? Will the party drop this or continue trying to push Akin out?
Well, they've done just about everything they can from a national and party and sort of structural level. It really was a sledgehammer. It wasn't a request. It wasn't a suggestion. It was as forceful an effort, coordinated effort to get Todd Akin to leave the race. It failed. He is remaining defiant, as you're seeing play out in Missouri, and he is also really trying to generate that grassroots support. Now, elected officials and party officials will be watching. Is there any support? Is there enough of a donor base that could help him move forward? They still hope he will reevaluate. He will come to a point where he realizes there are no official allies and maybe not enough money to even continue and back away. So there is kind of a sense now that they're pausing. They'd like to get back on other issues. Obviously, the convention is coming up, and they'd like not to be talking about Todd Akin. They still hope he will make a decision to step aside, but he's given no indication that he is open to any kind of persuasion from party establishment or even someone as prominent as the party's nominee.
Sure. You mentioned issues. Campaign, obviously, they want to stay on message. For Romney, it's been the economy, jobs, and then health care. What does this focus on abortion do to the Romney campaign right now?
This has become a subject that the Romney campaign has not wanted to deal with. Obviously, the social issues are part of the larger texture of the campaign, but they really wanted to be talking about jobs, the economy, Paul Ryan's budget expertise, things like that, not being put into a microscope of now looking through a sort of Todd Akin lens what the positions of Romney and Ryan are with respect to these issues that are deeply held by many people, that are politically potent, and this isn't what they wanted to be talking about. So it has been a distraction, it has been a challenge for the Romney and Ryan campaign, and it's something they now hope they've done what they could to try to resolve the situation, and now they're trying to sort of distance him even further to sort of position Todd Akin as someone who simply won't be a cooperative part of what they think are their collective goals, so they're just going to try and leave him in a corner and redirect their focus. Not easy to do when people are still talking about Todd Akin and what he plans to do.
Sure. Now, if you're the Democratic Party or the Obama campaign, what do you do on this? Do you keep fanning the flames to keep abortion front and center?
Well, certainly the Democrats and the president's reelection campaign have been making an issue throughout the campaign season of issues that relate to women, basically centered off a lot of different points when there were bills that were being talked about and that sort of thing. This has been an opportunity for the president and for Democrats running for re-election to focus on women's issues, to try to show a gap between the two parties with women voters. It certainly has been an opportunity for Democrats, one they don't want to see go away. They'd like to keep this conversation continuing, even as Todd Akin maybe slips from the headlines a bit over the days to come if that happens. Democrats want to keep him in the conversation.
Sure. Ironically, now, yesterday, the Republican Party passed the Human Life Amendment. It calls for the outlaw of abortion, no exceptions. What kind of conflict does that present for both Romney and Ryan as they look forward in their campaign?
Well, there's always a tension between the party's platform that's worked on at the convention before the big party begins and the ticket, because Republicans in this instance are trying to focus on what would Romney's positions be. And even with Paul Ryan, who holds some slightly different views, he says he has joined the Romney campaign, and Mitt Romney's position is that there are exceptions for things like life of the mother, rape, that sort of thing. These are sensitive, difficult subjects. So the platform has shined new light on this. It has presented this area for people to look for differences. The campaign is trying to keep it on what Mitt Romney's positions are. Regardless of the party platform, they're trying to be more focused on what he has to say and what he says he would do.
Now, one more Akin question before we wrap up. You've seen scandals and missteps come and go. With Akin staying in the race, he's got about 11 weeks to finish this campaign. Is it enough time to get his campaign back on course? And what does Claire McCaskill have to do to stay her course in this?
For Claire McCaskill, the obvious option for her right now is to try to use this as a sort of lifeline in her campaign, to be able to talk about these issues, to have people look at her perhaps anew after the Akin events of these last few days. For Todd Akin, he's got to really find out, is there support? Are there enough people in the state who will accept his apology and move on? Expectations are that is too great a hurdle, that he will not have enough money and he will not have support to go on. But for Claire McCaskill, she of course would like to see him remain a part of the story so she can argue against him. And for Todd Akin, he's really got to find out how realistic his chances are over the next several days.
Now, we're hearing some names floating around Missouri. Are you hearing any names on Capitol Hill as a possible replacement on the ticket?
Well, the names certainly get floated, but I think where you are, you're probably much closer to what the possible options would be. Obviously, in a situation like this, when there's a surprise vacancy, parties tend to go with famous names that come from their state, people who have already been elected statewide, people who've already held the office. So you hear things like Jim Talent or John Ashcroft. In this particular case, when there are issues that relate to women's concerns, you would look to see, is there a female candidate who would be appropriate in this case? Now, obviously, Akin defeated a woman in Steelman, and that could be a possibility. Would the party look to her, or perhaps look to someone like a member of Congress who is Joanne Emerson, for example, to see if she might be a choice? So lots of names being floated, nothing official, but that's a part of the conversation. People are already looking ahead. Who might it be?
All right, Kelly, great insight. I really appreciate your time. Next time you're in Kansas City, our studios are just around the corner from one of the best barbecue places, so let us know and we'll make sure you get some good food when you're here.
Much appreciated. Good to see you.
Hey, you too. Thanks.